At the end of a recent canoe trip, I capsized my boat and watched as all my gear floated away down the river. The only things I was left holding on to at the end were my boat, my paddle, my fishing rod and reel, and the items in my pocket. The main focus of this trip is to fish for food, because in the scenario I was in, I would have probably just kept going and tried to paddle out and get in the scenario I was in, where I knew where I was and I knew that the best course of action for me would have been to keep paddling out and keep going, and I would have had a better chance of running into someone who could help me. Then that's what this trip is supposed to simulate, and obviously as I was going along I could have been fishing. So little otter, look. tried to make a Paiute deadfall before I went to bed, but I was losing light so quickly. My stick kept sinking into the ground, so I couldn't set the trigger, but it's okay. I'll have to do it tomorrow when there's better light outside. But anyway, I better settle in for a long night. There he is, look. Wouldn't be October without Toady Jeffers. You sly son of a gun. Well, I'm not kidding you. My heart is pounding. Just had something come trotting within 10 yards of my camp. And I couldn't figure out what it was, because I was like, there's no way, whatever, if it was a deer, that it can't smell me. But sure enough, it got right there, and I was freaking out. I was yelling at it, and then all of a sudden it blew at me and went sprinting off, and thank God for that. It just goes to show the one night I feel the most exposed, and that's when the animals start messing with me. I'll tell you what, my heart is going. I was convinced it was a bear. It sounded like a deer the way it was walking, or maybe a moose. That was what else it could have been. But then when it got so close and it didn't go away, I was like, but thankfully, just a deer. I apologise if you hear any plane noise. There's fighter jets literally all day yesterday as well, are flying over here, like chasing each other. There was one point where I was fishing and they were sending out flares behind each other, and I don't know if that was like a follow me or avoid these or what, but they were like a dogfight, pretty much. I thought, is something going on that I don't know about? Well, I guess they're just training over here, so. Annoying. I appreciate them and what they do, but I don't want them flying over me whilst I'm trying to, say relax. I'm not relaxed. I'm enduring the woods right now. I'm not kidding you, last night I'll show you where that deer came to, and then another one came along like an hour later and blew even worse. I can show you exactly how far away they were from me. But what's funny is yesterday when I was behind there looking for firewood, I saw a spot and I was like, that almost looks like deer beds, like there's been big deer bedding down here, and I thought, no, it can't be, but obviously it was. See, just back here where all the grass is laid flat. And all here. I thought that was just from people walking. Obviously not. So I know a lot of you are probably thinking it's a coincidence that I just happen to have all these things in my pocket, but there's nothing coincidental about it. A couple of years ago I listened to a book called Lost in the Woods or Lost in the Wild. I can't remember. I'll put a picture or something in here. But in that book it tells the story of two different people on two separate occasions that get lost in the Boundary Waters Canoe area of Quetico Provincial Park, which is over on the Ontario, Minnesota, Michigan border. And in both scenarios, both people got separated from their gear. And in both scenarios, neither of them had a way to treat water, and neither of them had a way to light a fire on them. So I might be a little off, but generally I believe the rules are what? 3 hours for exposure to kill you, 3 days for lack of water to kill you, and then 3 weeks for lack of food to kill you. So even though I didn't catch food on this trip, I know I'm going to be fine. If I hadn't had water, that would have started to become a bigger issue. And if I hadn't been able to light a fire to keep myself warm, then that would have been an even bigger issue. Luckily I was able to use my canoe as shelter, and I wanted to use my canoe as shelter because, like I say, in my situation, this and my paddle and these things were all I had left, and my fishing rod. So obviously this isn't a long-term solution for treating water, but you know, it's hard to keep some type of metal container in my pocket, whereas this folds up, stays in my pocket. And I know you guys probably seen me use my big 3-litre one recently, and I have started using the 3-litre one when I go on trips, but because I have the 1-litre and it packs down so small, I always keep this in my pocket, especially on canoe trips, because that way if my stuff's in my bag and the sun's beating down on me and I'm getting thirsty, I can just always reach in my pocket, pull this out and grab a quick drink. For lighting fires, obviously I always have 2 cigarette lighters minimum on my persons at all time. Even if I don't choose to use them, even in videos when you see me use my striker, I always have cigarette lighters on me. You know, there's times when sometimes I have like 4 or 5 of them in my pockets, and I probably have even more in my pack when I have it with me. So always have multiple cigarette lighters, and then if that fails, I always have a fire steel these days with the striker attached to it. Personally, for me, in the situation I was in, and this is highlighted in the book as well in the 2 different scenarios, sometimes in a survival situation you have to try and figure out for yourself whether you should stay in one place, stay where you are, or whether you should be mobile and moving. In my situation, personally, that I found myself in that situation I was able to recover all my gear and I was able to paddle out to my truck. But if I was further back and that wasn't the case, I knew from looking at the maps and the location I was in that my best chance of survival would be to paddle out, or paddle at least to the next campsite or ranger station, and I'd probably be able to find help from there. In other situations, obviously, like I've done before, I've tried to simulate before, you would want to build a shelter, and you would want a shelter in place and try and, you know, wait for someone to come and look for you, which again is highlighted in the book. There's 2 different stories and 2 different versions, 2 different people and 2 different familiarities with their surroundings. But either way, in both of those scenarios, both of those people could have benefited from having these things with them. But anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. A little something different. I know I haven't, because survival isn't fun. And laying on this ground all night has hurt my neck and my shoulders and my back. And yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna see you on the next one.